Want to play a little game here, looking at some of the really high level talents in the league, and are they being overlooked? Are they underrated? Are they overrated? Or are they properly rated? Or as I like to say, are they rated? Like underrated, overrated, or rated? It's like nonchalant. Can you just be chalant? Or non-plus? Can you just be plussed? These are my theory. Anyway, no one appreciates my grammar humor. Okay. Donovan Mitchell. Let's talk about him. Overrated, underrated, properly rated. What do you got, Boogie?
Underrated. This guy has been a winner since he's come into the league. I don't think he's ever missed the playoffs a year of his career. He's been a talent since he's walked in. He changed the Utah organization around. He actually made them exciting, and people wanted to watch Utah basketball. I don't think that's happened since Stockton Malone. He's changed his entire Cleveland organization, which we never thought would happen outside of LeBron James. He's managed to find a way to do that. I believe he's averaging about 28, 6 and 6 this season. I mean, how this guy isn't in the MVP conversation or one of the main guys being said in the conversation blows my mind. But, it's a political league, the best way of putting that. But, I mean, he's having an incredible year. He has the Cavaliers as an actual threat this season. They're top 3, top 4 in the East. He's doing everything he's supposed to do as a franchise guy and as a star in this league. Why his shine isn't brighter than the other stars in the league, I don't really know. Maybe it's the market. I'm not really sure, but he's definitely an underrated guy in this league. He deserves way more credit than he gets, and he's, like I said, he's been a star since he stepped foot in this league, and he's continuing to be that.
Agreed. We back on. He back on. The man is averaging 29, 6 and 6. Like I said, 6'3", small market. Like I said, his right hand guy D Garland has been He's been out. He's been injured.
Guys, we can't blame the market. Okay, there has been a big star in Cleveland that got plenty of attention twice now.
Yeah,
so
but he is the league though. Rachel, it's a difference. I mean, he is the NBA.
I'm just saying, Cleveland's not a small market. It's a big city.
It's a very small market, with all due respect. I played there, Rachel.
I'm aware.
Amazing fan base, but it's still considered in our game a small market. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he's always played for small markets, and I think that may be the only reason. He scored 70 last year. Nobody, it's not like a big deal.
You're right.
He's been doing it at a consistent high level for a very long time, and not go back to how he's came into the year at Cleveland and bought into the system, fit in very well, and like I said, playing for JB, one of my favorite coaches, he's buying right in. And like I said, I hope he stays. But at the end of the day, I would hope he go to New York and get his respect that he needs.
That's why I wanted to see him in New York in the first place. I'm glad it's worked out in Cleveland, but how amazing would that have been in New York and with Jalen Brunson? I'm not saying instead, but with Jalen Brunson.
I don't know how that might work out. I'm happy to see where he is now. Like I said, this summer we'll get there and see what it possibly could be. But right now I'm happy he's in Cleveland, working with one of my favorite point guards, Darius Garland. All the young guys in Cleveland, I think he's doing a great job coming in, being a leader, a veteran in the locker room, and like I said, keeping everyone poised. I think they're number 2. Is that right, Richard? They're number 2 in the East?
Yeah, yes.
And like I said, nobody talks about Cleveland, so I think it just goes with their entire staff. It goes with JB being underrated. I think their whole organization is underrated. They've done a hell of a job consistently.
JB's got to be one of the leaders in the clubhouse for Coach of the Year, I think. I would certainly put him there, and he's just done great work there overall. He's a great guy. He's a great coach. The Cavs overall, they have won, I'm going to make sure I get this right, 17 of their last 18 games. Right. 17 of their last 18 games. They have
nobody's talking about
defense. They got the number 1 defense in the league over that stretch. And yes, they have moved into the number 2 spot. We're sitting here talking about Milwaukee and Philly and what's going on with the Knicks, but Cleveland is snuck right in there. So, if they hold on to that will be huge going into the playoffs in terms of the matchups they're going to get. I just think, they won't have to face Boston until the end if they get that far. So I just think that is a player and a team to watch, and I'm looking forward to Donovan getting some shine at the All-Star game because I think he will. I want to ask you about Trae Young, guys. Overrated, underrated, or rated?
I also think Trae Young is underrated.
Yeah.
I feel for this brother. I feel like we've had similar type situations when it comes to just being in a situation, being a franchise cornerstone, and not getting the necessary pieces and attention that you need to not only make your individual talent shine, but put you in the situations to where you can win. And the reason I feel for it because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the legacy that's going to be tarnished is Trae Young. And
Yeah.
the details of what goes on behind it never get looked at. It's going to just always be the overall picture. And that's Trae Young put up numbers, but he couldn't win. And that's just not how it works in a team-oriented setting. And I just want this guy to, either get some real talent put around him to where he can be the star that he's meant to be. And but my dream scenario, this guy could find his way to San Antonio to be with Wemby. I
Yes.
think
Yes.
those two guys together would be unreal. I think they're a duo that we probably won't see a duo close to Shaq and Kobe, but I think those guys could be that. And I think he's that talented. I mean, 28 and 10. To average 10 assists in the NBA
No,
is,
no, 11. 11. Don't disrespect. It's 11.
excuse
10,
me,
8.
excuse me for my
Yeah,
answer. But to be able to average double-digit assists in the league is, Doe can speak on it. That's really, really hard to do. And this guy just doesn't. And it's easy to, overlook him. Like I said, he's in a losing situation, but his talent,
Yeah.
you can't overlook the talent. No matter
And
how you try to cover it up, no matter how you try to say it's just stats, you can't deny the talent.
right,
And
right.
I feel for this kid. He's definitely underrated.
Definitely underrated. Just to go back to anything you said about the assists. It was hard as hell to average 11 assists, and I could damn near average 28 points. You
Right.
add both of those numbers together. On top of him, like I said, night in, night out, every team is trying to figure out how to stop Trae Young. And you're doing this at 6'1", only 5 years in the league. He's already figured the game out. And like I said, a lot of people don't understand how hard it is to mastermind the game at that level, at the point guard position, being at only 6'1". Every night he's the smallest guy on the floor, still able to dominate, manipulate the game. That's why they changed the game with the free throw rule, because he had manipulated the game within 3 years of playing in the NBA. How many guys can go in and change the game completely like that? And the game is different. He has the ball in his hands a lot. He is the only pretty much primary playmaker, and you're going to have numbers, but still to do it at a consistent level, night in, night out basis, and take and make the biggest shots in the game, usually in the fourth quarter, and that's what he does every night. And he's learning how to become a better teammate. I play with him to try to knock him about being that, but he's young. He's learning. He hasn't had many vets in to come in and teach him how to be, that type of player. Also having a franchise on your back. I can't speak from that perspective, but being able to come in at 22 years old and have a whole franchise on your back, and still want him to do so many other things and produce on the court. You're asking a lot for a young person that is just now coming into something new. So he's definitely underrated. One of my favorite players I've ever played with. He's unstoppable, and again, he's so young. Now, I don't know about him going to San Antonio. I think that will obviously be great in the future, but I want him to win now. I want him to get his respect now. But you never know how it plays out. He's super young. He has so many years to play this game. And wherever he ends up or whoever comes to Atlanta, I wish him the best.
Look, if he went to San Antonio, I don't think it would be in the future. I think they would be on a winning path right away. Have you seen Wemby's numbers? He is like a legit defensive player of the year numbers kind of guy. Obviously, they're not winning. That would affect any, awards actually that he gets. But he has better numbers right now than Rudy Gobert did in his MVP season. That's defensively what we're talking about. Obviously, can do things offensively we've never seen before. Is going to have more seasoning if Trae Young does end up there. By the time that Young does end up there, and then you stick Trae Young on that team, I can't even imagine. And the Spurs have a ton of picks. They could definitely make an offer. I don't know if Atlanta would trade him, but they would make an offer. And I know that Trae, he's been a good soldier there. He didn't ask for a trade at this deadline when people thought he might. So I want to emphasize that he has been, as you said, he's been a better teammate. No one's going to call him Drew Holiday ever, but his defense has gotten better. He's certainly making more of an effort now on defense as well. And I don't know what's going to happen this summer if they have the rest of the season goes poorly. I don't know. I completely agree with you, Boog, that he is being influenced and his reputation is being influenced by the team he plays for. He's getting left off all NBA teams. The fans are voting him higher in all-star votes than anybody else around the league. And I think that disrespect has a lot to do with this idea he's an empty numbers guy. He's not going to be an empty numbers guy if you put him in the right situation. So I'm curious. I think that is a huge thing to watch as this next year plays out. When you talk about stars that could move around, he's not a name we talk about a ton, but I know Hawks fans are going to be like, "Don't trade him off our team," but you got to talk about it because it is possible. I don't know. I want to hit you guys with another one that you both know well. Paul George, underrated, overrated, properly rated.
I'm gonna have to go underrated with PG as well. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. One of the most talented guys I've ever seen at 6'9", 6'10", the ball handling ability, the shot creation, the creativity off the dribble, the shooting ability. I mean, when you think about the prototypical wing, you think about a Paul George, the size, the length, just all the intangibles that come with him, and then you add the talent to that. I would say he's one of the most talented three men to ever play the game. I put him in the likes of the Tracy McGrady's and things of that nature.
Tracy was his hero growing up.
On any given day, I could say he is more talented than Tracy McGrady. Obviously, you could argue that point,
Yes.
but I think a point could be made.
No.
Mac would argue that point.
No. The way he shoots the three, though.
I mean, Paul. I mean, I don't understand the hate that comes with this guy. He's an incredible teammate, super talented. He always shows up when it's time to show up. Obviously, guys have bad games. That's a part of this game. Like, why his bad games get highlighted more than his good games will never make sense. But this is one of the most talented guys to ever lace up his sneakers, and he's definitely underrated just in the fact that he doesn't get the proper love and credit that he deserves. He's been a winner since he stepped foot in the league. He was challenging LeBron as a young 22-year-old. Like, let's serious here. Like, this is one of the most talented to ever put on sneakers, and I think he deserves way more credit than he gets.
I think we're 3 for 3, cuz. Underrated. Yeah, I would say so. Like I said, I loved and enjoyed playing with PG at the time I was there. Watch him work, his professionalism, how he is as a teammate. He's underrated for sure. I would agree with Cuz. I mean, I think he, with all due respect to Tracy McGrady, the game has changed in America, but the way PG shoots the three off the dribble, I mean, in that 6'9", you can't really do much about it. He's kind of a bigger Kyrie to me. He can finish, super athletic. Like I said, he pats the ball at ease, and he gets to a spot and goes. Like I said, and also not on the offensive end, but he goes on the defensive end as well. And I think he'll get his respect. I do believe the Clippers possibly can win the NBA championship this year. And I think once he does that, people start to understand, okay, look at his career, like, wow, he was doing this in Indiana. He did do this in the Clippers. And like I said, well, when he was with the Clippers with Kawhi, they never really had any healthy years together. So I think if they can stay healthy and put it together this year, he'll start to get the respect that he deserves. And I look forward to it. He's a great player, a great teammate.
It's just, I go to a lot of Clippers games because I live here in LA. I'm going tonight. He's so reliable for them this season. I mean, he has been able to, when he's in games, obviously there's been a few he's missed because of health, but when he's been in games, whether Kawhi is doing amazing, whether Kawhi is having a quieter game, PG has sort of been there with those threes. He's kept them in games, and sort of then Kawhi comes and takes over. It's been very cool. Kawhi is another one I want to ask you guys about. Overrated, underrated, properly rated, 2-time Finals MVP. What do y'all think?
I think this is another guy that's underrated. I think his one championship in Toronto trumps a lot of guys throughout the history of this game. To be able
He's
to
got
go
the Spurs rings too,
No, that's fine, but I'm more impressed with the fashion of how it was done. To be able to go in there for one season, win a franchise their first championship ever, like to basically take over an entire country, like it was. And I was on the other end of that, so I really felt his presence in that moment. Just
yes.
to be able to do it in the fashion that he did it. I don't think we'll ever really see that in the game again. Obviously, he's had his success in San Antonio, and it wasn't really credited because he played with so much talent. He was under the umbrella of Popovich, Tim Duncan, all those legends that came through there. So obviously, he didn't get as much credit with that group, but that one championship in Toronto, like I think that just put him on the pedestal of superstar.
No, you
Obviously,
played mano a mano against him in the finals. You had that great finals game, Boogie, and he just kept
he was
coming
that
back with
boy.
answers.
Yeah, he was that boy in that series, and he gained my respect in that series. Just to match up with all, and obviously a lot of things went against us in that series as far as health. And if we were healthy, I think it would have been a different situation. But I can only speak on the facts and how it played out and what he did to contribute to winning that championship. You got to give him all the credit in the world. That's a bad boy. So I definitely think he's underrated. Absolutely.
He's underrated. He's underrated, and I only say this because I think over the last couple of years, I think the media has overshadowed him not playing as much and is trying to kind of tarnish his reputation of how great of a player he is. He doesn't speak much or make a big scene about anything. He just goes out and gets his job done. So I think that plays a big role in, like I said, how people perceive him now and not putting the respect on his name because of the last couple of years. The Kawhi, they put new rules in where guys can't rest. So I think that has overshadowed, again, what he's done in his career with the championship in Toronto and then the two with San Antonio. So, but at the end of the day, like I said, I'm looking forward to them getting to the finals, and then he gets his fourth. Now he's still young. PG's still young. They had a ways to go, and like I said, with that experience, as far as the coaching staff over there, Tulu's won a chip already. So it's like I'm willing to bet with those guys and having that underdog mindset. I'm sure they don't mind at all being underrated. Both of those guys, and with that chip on your shoulder. That proving them wrong mentality going into the playoffs, they're looking forward to people continue to not believe in them or not even speak on them. So, and I'm sure when people start to jump on the bandwagon, I'm sure they don't want them, so it's like they have that mindset being in that locker room, understanding that I wouldn't want to match up with them in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, we made a big deal when LeBron won his ring in a third place, right? He had two in Miami, one in Cleveland, and then the fourth one with LA. Kawhi would be doing the same thing, right? And again, we're saying if. We don't know if they're going to get to the finals. We don't know if they're going to win the finals. But if they do, I would be willing to put money on the fact that Kawhi would be the MVP. So if any of that happens, the idea that he would be finals MVP in 3 different cities and in different NBA finals is bonkers. So yeah, I don't know. I think he may be properly rated just because I do think PG. Everyone knows how good he is. Or PG, 100%. I'm just saying that he has a chance with this team playing so well to do something so exceptional. And I do think when his career is all over, Kawhi, we're going to talk about him even better than we do now. But I do think if you talk to players around the league, everyone knows how good Kawhi Leonard is. And the fact that he's been healthy this year, I think the media has sort of circled back around on him as well. We've talked about him not being really mentioned in the MVP vote. That has more to do with the number of other stars on his teams and go back and forth on whether that should matter or not. But that's more why as opposed to not respecting him. I don't know. He's incredible. I love watching him. He's incredible. And I have to throw in the one that I told our producers is my underrated. Jamal Murray is underrated, gentlemen. He's underrated. And I know I'm the standard bearer for the Nuggets this year among all of our different group podcasts and shows and stuff, but I'm sorry. They are the defending champions, and Jamal Murray is one of the reasons. I know it. Jokic is incredible, but he does not win without Jamal Murray. I'm sorry. And the fact that because Jokic is so incredible, we kind of throw Jamal in. I'm not wrong here, right? I mean, he's...
No, not at all. You're definitely not wrong. And I had the privilege of, kind of going to the game of the night against the Lakers, Kobe night, and he made tough shot after tough shot after tough shot. At the point guard position, again, he's another young point guard that we don't talk about or put enough respect on. How many young point guards have won an NBA championship the last 5 years? What young point guards have? You can't name many. If any, he might be the only one, but the way he plays the game night in, night out, he has been healthy. But I think when he came on the scene was when the bubble. When when he went into the bubble and went crazy, and people were like, "Oh, it's just it's just a bubble. He can't do that." Like he's been consistent ever since, and he's a big piece of why they won. He can arguably, if he didn't play with a guy like Joker that's putting up a triple double every night, he can easily argue be the MVP. So having a guy like that on your team, probably go down one of the greatest bigs of all time, can overshadow him and not put the respect on him as a player. But I know, like I said, personally in the bubble, he hit one of the toughest shots in my life over me. And he did it on a nightly basis. Like I said, he's just a tough shot maker. He's fun to watch play. He's a great teammate. I'm sure he's a great leader. I've heard from him, from amongst other players. And, you can't get to that level if you don't work. So, kudos to him. He's a great player. And he doesn't mind. Like I said, I'm sure he doesn't mind at all being underrated, but he's getting the respect he deserves amongst his peers, the guys that play against him every night.
Well, Boog, you played with him. You were on the team with him. Is he as good of a work ethic guy and leadership as Joe's saying?
Absolutely. He's everything he said, but I'm going to have to be the guy that goes against the grain with this one and say that he's properly rated. And the reason I said it is actually one of the reasons Doe just said. It's the fact that he is under a shadow. It's the fact that he is playing with a big that is one of the greatest ever, lace him up. And I don't think he's able to display his talent the way he potentially could. I think he's a top 5 PG if the ball is in his hands on a normal basis. Like if he get the opportunities these other guards get in the league, the Donovan Mitchells, the Jalen Brunson, I think you then see him and it's like, man, this guy's a top 5 PG. But the fact that he does have to play under the shadow of Jokic, the fact that he's not in a traditional point guard setting to where the ball is being brought up by Jokic more so than it is Jamal. So it kind of hinders, in my opinion, it kind of hinders his talent. But obviously it's a perfect fit in how they play off of one another. But just him being under that shadow of Jokic, and I hate saying this because this is my UK brother. I got number love for him.
I can't be. It sounds like you're saying that he's underrated. That's what it sounds like.
I was gonna.
In a way, I am, but at the same time, just with the and this is based off production with me. The way he produces with this team, I say he's properly rated.
He's very efficient. He's like 27-7, 26-6. I mean,
my opinion.